Hello and welcome to a Blexplanation of the 7 Suns of Blaseball. I will be talking about 8 different suns, but we have never had more than 7 at one time. On the first day of Blaseball, Namirafet forged Sun 1. In the first game of Blaseball on record, we then saw Sun 1's pressure increase as a result of Coat Loveless heating up. In postseason B, we see the Suns' pressure has increased to 10% since their first day. Megan Ito setting a season record is credited as another factor in pressure increase. As we move into season C and see our first team incineration, we also discover that increases someone's pressure by a large step. As more and more teams are incinerated, Sun 1 reaches critical pressure in season E, and with all remaining teams being unstable, Namirafet has no choice but to step in and refill Sun 1. Sun 1's fate is a mystery for most of prehistory too, but we do know that on the first day of Blaseball as we know it, Sun 1 was refilled again, so we can only conclude it reached critical pressure once more. As we experienced Blaseball, we were blissfully unaware that Sun 1 could increase in pressure. All we knew was that it could be eclipsed, and in these eclipses, incinerations could happen. By the dreadful events of Ruby Tuesday in Season 7, where we saw 5 players incinerated in 2 games, Sun 1's pressure was at 85%. Between then and the end of Season 10, we saw 14 more players incinerated, pushing Sun 1's pressure to critical. Until, in the final game of the Season 10 postseason, the Crabs collected 10 runs courtesy of Top Fox, and Sun 1 collapses, and thus rises Sun 2. Unlike Sun 1, which was a permanent fixture of Blaseball, Sun 2 is a weather condition. Games played in Sun 2 would see teams gain an extra win if they reached 10 runs. Since its arrival in the sky, it has always been a fairly common weather, but is harder to activate than may be expected, with the highest activation percentage being Season 11, where 25% of Sun 2 games ended in extra wins. Originally, when activated, Sun 2 would smile and grant an extra win, a positive result for teams. But from Season 19, Sun 2 would smile at teams, and whilst they would still gain an extra win, it would not always be so helpful. The Season 20 election brought us Sun 30, which, like Sun 2, granted teams extra wins, but this time for taking a game to extra innings. You would only gain 1 extra win, so if you play 1 extra inning or 10, it was all the same. In the 4 seasons we had it for, it activated 346 times, which is a lot of extra wins. Then, in Season 22, we gained Sun 1, another weather. This was a teeny tiny sun, which meant the later in a game you scored, the more your run would be worth, as each inning added 0.1 in value. This led to some very unusual scores being posted. During the 3 seasons it was active, we saw 301 games in Sun.1 weather. Season 22 also brought us equal sun, a standing rule that if a home run was scored in the final out of a game, the game would be a tie. This would often then push games into extra innings, activating Sun 30. During its 2 seasons, equal sun activated 64 times. In the same season, we gained maximum sun, where if a team was playing in maximum Blaseball, any run scored would be worth 3 times as much. This was the rarest of suns to see in effect, as during its 2 seasons, it only activated 21 times. In Season 23, we gained some sun as a weather. This sun meant that the more runs you scored in 1 inning, the more runs you'd have, as you'd gain an extra run for each run after the first that you scored. This was not a huge boost, but every little counts, and we saw 133 games of it in 2 seasons. And finally, we have Sun.So. Sun.So was forged after the season 19 election in the Grand Bargain, as a way for the boss to counteract turntables. Sun.So squared all wins and unwins, meaning everything would once again be a positive number. But Sun.So came with a pressure bar, and as the seasons passed, we saw the pressure increasing. It was unclear all of the events that caused it to increase, but incinerations and creating MVPs definitely did. The pressure continued to increase until, in the semi-centennial match, Sun.So reached critical pressure as a result of too many legendary players being forged, and it exploded into Supernova, which lasted just 27 days before collapsing. So where are all our suns now? Sun 1 collapsed. Sun 2 still exists. Sun exploded into a supernova and then collapsed. And all the remaining suns were nullified by black hole during season 24. Thank you for joining me for another Blexplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.